Guys, I went to Venezia this weekend, as you no doubt saw if you follow me on Twitter. And I've got to say, I had a lovely time well, not quite from the moment I got there because it was Venice. I obviously got lost on my way to my Airbnb. Fortunately, just the once. And then I was back on track and I got there, dropped my stuff off, went around the city. But the reason I was there was for the Sunday afternoon game, the standalone 3 p.m. Sunday game, oddly. Although Ewan did point that out to us on the preview pod, and I refused to believe it until it was happening today. And then I was looking for the other results, and I thought, oh, okay, Ewan was onto something there. But Venezia, unfortunately, playing a Serie A game in Venice for the first time since April 2002, couldn't get their first Serie A win in Venice since February 2002. They fell just short, and it was quite heartbreaking the way it happened. Kev, I know you watched this one as well, but Venezia went 1-0 down, then they fought back to be at 1-1, and then in the final minutes, they were the team pushing and pushing for the winner, but Mehdi Bourabia got it for for Spezia at the other end in the 94th minute with another one of these good goals we've seen in Serie A this weekend. But it was out of nowhere, and you've just got to feel for the Arancioniero Verde, which is the most complicated nickname to say in Serie A because they've put three colours in there. But it was a bitter pill for them to swallow.
Yeah, I certainly won't be saying that one anytime soon. I struggle enough with players' names. Yeah, I think you even did them a little bit of a disservice there, sort of saying that they were pushing towards the end of the game. I thought there were large spells of that second half where it felt like it
You're
was
right.
all Valencia, and because it was the only Serie A game being broadcast at a time, I did sit down and watch it, and I found myself feeling frustrated for them because I thought it was going to kind of play out to a draw. I thought it was starting to highlight maybe a real lack of quality that will see them ultimately maybe plummet back down to Serie B because they were getting down the lines and then the cross would go in. It's like, oh, where have you hit that to? You know, them they might not get many people in the box, but it's like the cross then needs to be accurate, or they get to the edge of the box and then somebody sort of a proper kind of almost felt like a lower league shank into the sort of stands. And it's like, oh, if you just had a little bit more quality, your dominance would probably be yielding more goals. And while you don't want clubs to come up and then kind of just spend their way into buying that quality in, you feel that it's kind of going to prove firstly it's going to prove a really important result because Spezia will be down there challenging as well, but it feels like it's going to be what we're going to see a lot of from Venezia, and it's going to cause them to probably not be able to keep themselves in Syria.
I I was quite encouraged watching this Venezia team because until today I was convinced Venezia don't have a chance at staying up. But they're slowly winning me round. I will confess this is the first time I've watched an entire 90 minutes of them this season, but I was very enamored, I suppose you could say, with Dennis Johnson. He's a 23-year-old Norwegian forward, and he's had time with Ajax, Aaron Veen in the past. He's an under 21 international, and he was so lively. And I know there's this thing where blonde players are statistically more likely to be scouted because they stand out because of their hair. And he's this big, tall, blonde guy, so he does stand out. But my God, he is fun to watch. Some of his little touches as well. The ball would come to him 40 yards and he'd flick it off with an elegant little touch and then just get on a run. And I do think that he's gonna provide them with some moments this season. And if those moments are enough for them to stay up, he's going to get a move next summer. You can see it happening already. But yeah, Johnson, I'm telling you guys, keep an eye on him. I said it about Kulusevski at the beginning of his Parma season. Keep an eye on Dennis Johnson at Venezia.
I think that with Dennis Johnson, though, he really needs to work on his shooting. And this game, and noticed it more last week, He probably should have had a few more goals. So if Paolo Zanetti can work on that aspect of his game, I think he'll be a very dangerous player and could be decisive if they have any chance to stay in Serie A this season. Because, like you said, he's got the height, but he's very mobile, quite graceful. He has those bursts of pace, and he's got that very good ball control, but the finishing is definitely lacking. So more work on that, and I think that's how a team like Venezia might be able to obtain some results.
Vito's slated his shooting now, so watch him pop up with a winner against Samp later in the season.
That I do take that point completely because his final product, and there were a couple of crosses. I mean, Kev referred to a cross that was shanked into the stands. One of those was Johnson's today, but I think it's a product of him trying things that other players aren't necessarily trying. And as far as the finishing goes, I think it's more going to be down to David Okereke and Thomas Henry, who we've got to talk about. He wears the number 14 and his name is TH Henry. Avoid that number. Choose any other number. Don't take the number 14. You're only going to be a disappointment. And I was quite disappointed with him today, but because I was expecting him to be Thierry Henry, obviously, it wasn't to be. But that Venezia front three, they move. They move. And like what we were saying about Milan, must be a nightmare to defend against because you never know where they are. They're all over the place. Another player was was okay for a bit today was of course the American Gianluca Buzio, and he was very warmly applauded by the Venetians, both when his name was read out at the beginning of the game and when he was substituted and he was dead on his feet. He got the assist though, so getting Venezia's first Serie A assist in Venice in what 19 years. That's a not a bad memory for the guy who's just come over here. But Kev, how you feeling after this? Spezia obviously getting three big points. I bigged it up before the game as being a potential not necessarily a 6 pointer, but a game that come the end of the season we will probably look back at and say, huh, that had quite a big say in who finished where.